Some relationships are not built on love, but on a hidden dynamic of power and psychological games. This is a difficult truth, a chilling whisper in the heart of intimacy. It speaks of a connection that does not nourish but drains, a bond that does not liberate but subtly ensnares. Women, in particular, are often conditioned to be the emotional caretakers of a relationship, to smooth over discord, and to question their own perceptions before questioning the intentions of another. This conditioning can make you a target for a specific, insidious kind of psychological corrosion. It is a slow erosion of self, so quiet and gradual that you may not notice until you feel the ground crumbling beneath your feet, wondering how you drifted so far from the shores of your own certainty. Within every woman resides a powerful, ancient knowing, an archetypal guardian. Let us call her the unyielding sentinel. This is the part of you that stands watch at the gates of your inner world. She is the keeper of your truths, the guardian of your energy, the one who feels a deep, resonant no, even when your mouth is saying yes to keep the peace. When you are entangled in a manipulative dynamic, it is this sentinel who first sounds the alarm. Not with loud sirens, but with a persistent feeling of unease, a psychic dissonance, a quiet, unshakable sense that something is fundamentally wrong, even when everything on the surface appears right. The journey to reclaiming your power begins with learning to hear her voice again. The first shadow sign that you are being manipulated is the constant, subtle distortion of your reality. This is not an overt attack, but a creeping fog that clouds your perception and memory. It's the conversation you remember with perfect clarity, which is later denied entirely. It is the promise made with soulful eyes, which is later reframed as a misunderstanding on your part. Your feelings are not just dismissed, they are pathologized. When you express hurt, you are told you are too sensitive. When you express anger, you are overreacting. When you state a boundary, you are being difficult. Over time, this relentless invalidation acts like a psychological acid, dissolving the bedrock of your self-trust. You begin to second-guess your own mind. You start to believe their version of events, not because it feels true, but because arguing for your own reality has become too exhausting. This dynamic is not random. It is a core feature of a psychological process Carl Jung called projection. The manipulator, unable to confront the chaos, inadequacy, or deceit within their own psyche, their own shadow, projects it outward onto you. They cannot tolerate the feeling of being flawed, so they unconsciously assign that feeling to you. You become the container for all their disowned darkness. Their instability is reframed as your emotional volatility. Their unreliability is twisted into your faulty memory. It is a desperate act of a fragile ego trying to maintain a fantasy of its own perfection by making you the source of all problems. This psychic sleight of hand is devastatingly effective, especially if your own past includes experiences where your perceptions were denied or your feelings dismissed. The manipulator's shadow finds a home in the wounds of your past. So how does the sentinel within you fight a ghost? How do you hold on to reality when someone you trust is actively trying to rewrite it? The answer is not to win the argument with them. That is a battle you can never win, as they are not operating from a place of logic, but from a desperate need to maintain their projection. The path to clarity lies in turning inward, in practicing what the Stoic philosophers taught, focusing only on what is within your control. You cannot control their words. You cannot force them to acknowledge the truth. But you can, with absolute authority, control your own inner record. This is your first act of rebellion, becoming a meticulous archivist of your own experience. Keep a private journal. Write down the facts of what happened, what was said, and most importantly, how it made you feel. This is not evidence to be used in a future fight. It is an anchor. It is a sacred text of your own sanity. When the fog of their denial rolls in, you can return to your own words, written in your own hand, and remember. This practice is not about proving them wrong. It is about proving yourself right to yourself. It is the unyielding sentinel reinforcing the walls of your inner citadel, not with anger, but with the quiet, unshakable power of documented truth. You are no longer debating reality with an external source. You are reaffirming it with your internal one. This is the first step toward reclaiming your psychological sovereignty. It is a declaration that your experience is valid, your feelings are legitimate, and your memory is your own. But what happens when the manipulation isn't just about distorting your past, but about rolling your future? What happens when their love begins to feel like a cage, beautifully decorated with promises, but a cage nonetheless? Type continue to receive the next part. This beautiful cage is the second shadow sign, the use of generosity as a tool for control. It is a suffocating form of affection where love is not given but loaned, and you are expected to pay the interest with your autonomy. This manipulator does not build walls of brick and mortar. They build them with favors, grand gestures, and financial support that create a powerful sense of obligation. They might shower you with gifts, solve your problems, or provide a lifestyle you couldn't achieve alone. On the surface, it looks like devotion. It feels like being cherished. But the unyielding sentinel within you feels the weight of these gifts. She recognizes them not as expressions of love, but as golden chains. Every act of their generosity is an investment in their power. And any attempt you make to cultivate your own life, to see your friends, to pursue a personal goal, is met with a subtle but potent backlash. It may come as a pained expression, a sigh of disappointment, or the classic, guilt-inducing question. After everything I do for you, why do you need anyone else? This question is the key turning in the lock of the gilded cage. It reframes your natural human need for a rich, multifaceted life as an act of betrayal. Your independence is not a sign of your strength, but evidence of your ingratitude. You begin to feel a creeping sense of debt, a low-grade guilt that makes you shrink your world to accommodate their ego. You stop making plans without their approval. You hesitate before spending money you earned yourself. You become a beautiful, well-kept possession who has forgotten she has wings. This is a deeply rooted shadow dynamic. The manipulator's shadow is terrified of abandonment and irrelevance. Their ego is so fragile that their sense of self-worth is derived entirely from being needed, from being the all-powerful provider. By creating your dependency, they soothe their own deepest insecurities. They are not loving you. They are using your reliance to medicate their own fear. On the other side of this dynamic, your own shadow may be at play. Perhaps a part of you believes you are unworthy of love without being useful or pleasing. Perhaps a deep-seated wound from your past has taught you that love is conditional, something that must be earned through compliance. This is where their shadow of control finds a perfect fit with a shadow of unworthiness, creating a toxic, codependent contract that is disguised as a loving relationship. The Sentinel's task here is not to smash the cage in a fit of rage, but to quietly, deliberately remember how to open the door. The strategy is one of gentle, persistent self-reliance. It is the practice of reintroducing small acts of autonomy back into your life, not as a rebellion against them, but as a commitment to yourself. Start small. Pay for your own movie ticket. Insist on taking a walk by yourself to clear your head. Make a plan with a friend and stick to it, even if it's met with a guilt trip. Each tiny act of independence is a statement to your own psyche that you are capable, that you are whole, and that your worth is inherent, not granted by another. This is the Stoic practice of valuing your freedom above all else. As the philosopher Epictetus warned, we become enslaved by the things we desire or fear losing. By choosing your autonomy over the comfort of their provision, you are choosing your soul over the golden chains. This is not about rejecting genuine kindness. It is about discerning the intention behind the act. A true gift is given freely with no strings attached. It empowers. It does not indebt. A manipulative gift always comes with a price tag, and that price is always a piece of your freedom. As you begin to practice these small acts of sovereignty, you will feel a shift. The guilt will begin to recede, replaced by a budding sense of self-respect. You are reminding the sentinel within that she is the sole ruler of your inner kingdom, and that this kingdom cannot be sustained by provisions from a foreign power. It must have its own well, its own resources, its own unshakable foundation. Reclaiming your autonomy is a powerful step. But what of the bonds you have with others? What happens when the manipulator begins to methodically, quietly, sever the ties that connect you to your own support system, leaving you an island where they are the only shore? Type continue to receive the next part. When the manipulator senses you reclaiming your autonomy, they will often escalate to the third and perhaps most perilous shadow sign, the systematic isolation from your support system. This is a quiet, strategic siege. They will not forbid you from seeing your family or friends. That would be too obvious, too crude. Instead, they will subtly poison the wells of your most vital connections. The goal is to make you an island, with them as your only shore, your only point of reference, your only savior. This tactic unfolds slowly. It begins with small, critical comments about the people you love. Your best friend seems a bit selfish, don't you think? She never asks about me. Or, I can tell your mother doesn't like me. It's probably best if I don't come to dinner. They will engineer situations that create friction. They might be charming and polite to your friends' faces, but later tell you about a perceived slight or an imagined judgment, forcing you to choose between defending your friend and placating your partner. They will create drama or sulk just before you are meant to go out, making it emotionally easier for you to cancel your plans and stay home to manage their feelings. Over time, maintaining your relationships becomes exhausting. Every phone call is followed by an interrogation. Every visit with family is framed as a choice against them. Slowly, without a single command ever being issued, you find your world has shrunk to a population of two. This is a colonization of the psyche. In Jungian psychology, a woman's inner world contains a masculine element, the animus, which represents her capacity for logic, assertiveness, and connection to the world of ideas. A healthy, integrated animus acts as an inner counsel, a source of courage and clear thinking. The manipulator, through this strategy of isolation, seeks to become your external animus. By cutting you off from the diverse perspectives of friends, family, and mentors, he ensures that his voice becomes the only voice of authority in your head. His opinions become your facts. His anxieties become your reality. He is not just controlling your social life. He is attempting to dismantle your innate ability to think for yourself. When there are no other mirrors to reflect your true self back to you, you are forced to see yourself only in the distorted reflection he provides. The unyielding sentinel knows that a fortress without allies is a fortress destined to fall. Her duty here is to become a fierce guardian of your connections. The first step is to recognize the divide and conquer strategy for what it is. See the pattern. Notice how they consistently find fault only with the people who are most likely to support you and see through the facade. Once you see the strategy, you can begin to counteract it. This requires setting a firm, calm boundary. When they begin to criticize a loved one, you must refuse to engage. A simple, powerful statement like, "My relationship with my sister is my own, and I'm not going to discuss her negatively with you," is enough. It is not an invitation to an argument. It is a declaration of a closed border. The second part of this countermeasure is proactive, and it must be done for you and you alone. You must treat your connections like a vital lifeline because they are. Send the text message. Make the phone call. Schedule the coffee date, even and especially when it feels difficult. Do not explain or justify these connections to the manipulator. You are a sovereign being, and you do not require permission to commune with your own people. This act of maintaining your network is a profound act of self-preservation. You are ensuring that other voices can still reach you, that other perspectives can still ground you. You are reminding the sentinel that she is not alone in her watch. Protecting your connections rebuilds the outer defenses of your fortress. But what happens when the attack is no longer at the gates, but within the walls themselves? What do you do when the one who professes to love you becomes a source of constant emotional chaos, pulling you into a storm of their own making? Type continue to receive the next part. This brings us to the fourth shadow sign, a deeply disorienting tactic, the deliberate cultivation of chaos. This is the weaponization of emotional instability. In this dynamic, the relationship is a volatile landscape of extreme highs and devastating lows. One moment you are idealized, placed on a pedestal, the sole object of their adoration. The next, for a perceived slight so minor you cannot even identify it, you are devalued, discarded, and punished with icy silence or explosive anger. This is the infamous hot and cold cycle, and it is not a symptom of a passionate temperament. It is a sophisticated, if often unconscious, method of control that creates a powerful trauma bond. The intoxicating highs, when they finally return after a period of cold withdrawal, act like a potent drug. They provide a rush of relief and validation that is deeply addictive. You find yourself living for these moments of reconciliation, willing to endure the painful lows just to get another taste of the idealized beginning. This cycle keeps you perpetually off balance, living in a state of high-alert hypervigilance. You learn to walk on eggshells, constantly scanning their modifying your behavior and shrinking your own needs in a desperate attempt to prevent the next inevitable downturn. Your nervous system becomes dysregulated, hijacked by their emotional volatility. You are no longer living your life. You are managing their crisis. What drives a person to create such a storm? From a Jungian perspective, the manipulator's shadow is often starved for genuine feeling. Their inner world can be a place of profound emptiness or unmanageable chaos. Lacking a stable, integrated sense of self, they must manufacture high-stakes drama in their external world simply to feel alive. They create the storm just to feel the wind blow. This pattern is often rooted in early life attachment trauma, where love and connection were unpredictable and frightening. They learned that intimacy is inseparable from crisis. By pulling you into this vortex, they are not just controlling you. They are recreating the only emotional climate they have ever known, forcing you to play a role in their oldest, most painful script. Your designated role is that of the emotional regulator, the calm center of their hurricane, a role that is designed to drain you of all your life force. The unyielding sentinel's response to this manufactured chaos is not to fight fire with fire, but to refuse to enter the blaze. The strategy is one of radical emotional detachment. This is the embodiment of the Stoic ideal, to recognize that the emotional state of another person is external to you. Their storm is not your storm. Their chaos is not your responsibility to calm. You must learn to observe their emotional outbursts as you would observe a passing weather pattern, with awareness but without absorption. The most powerful technique for this is to become what is sometimes called a gray rock. When the drama begins, you become calm, unresponsive, and uninteresting. You do not argue. You do not defend yourself. You do not cry or plead. You give short, factual, non-emotional responses. You refuse to provide the emotional fuel their fire craves. This is not a game. It is a profound act of self-preservation. By becoming a gray rock, you are not being cruel. You are refusing to be the co-star in their chaotic drama. You are taking away their supply. The manipulator needs your reaction, your anger, your tears, your fear, to feel powerful. When you deny them this, their behavior often escalates briefly before it fizzles out, having found no purchase. The sentinel within you understands that her primary duty is to maintain peace within the kingdom of your soul. She cannot do this if she is constantly being pulled onto the battlefield of another's inner war. By choosing your own calm over their chaos, you are severing the energetic cord of the trauma bond. You are teaching yourself that stability comes not from their approval, but from your own unwavering center. Choosing peace over chaos is the ultimate act of self-governance. But what is the final, most insidious sign? What happens when the manipulation moves beyond your reality, your finances, and your friends, and takes aim at the very core of your identity, your dreams, your potential, and your vision of the future? Type continue to receive the next part. This leads to the final, most insidious shadow sign, the systematic dismantling of your future self. This is where the manipulation aims for the heart of your identity. It is a quiet, devastating campaign against your potential, your dreams, and your becoming. It operates on two fronts simultaneously: the undermining of your personal ambitions and the intoxicating illusion of a promised future that will never arrive. On the surface, they may seem supportive of your goals. But listen closely to the language. It is filled with subtle discouragement, cloaked as concern. A promotion sounds wonderful, but are you sure you can handle the stress? That passion project is cute, but is it really a priority right now? Your ambitions are slowly reframed as burdens, your passions as trivialities. At the same time, they engage in a powerful tactic known as future faking. They paint a masterpiece of a life you will have together. They speak in vivid detail about the home you will build, the travels you will embark upon, the family you will raise. This shared future becomes a beautiful, shimmering mirage in the desert of your current reality. It is always just over the horizon, close enough to feel, but never close enough to touch. The purpose of this mirage is to keep you invested. It encourages you to put your own dreams on hold, to stop building your own life, because you are waiting for this glorious, shared future to begin. You become a passenger in a car that is going nowhere, mesmerized by the beautiful destination promised on the GPS. This is a direct assault on the most sacred human journey, the path of individuation. This is the Jungian term for the lifelong process of becoming the truest, most complete version of yourself. It is about integrating all the parts of your psyche, your strengths, your shadows, your potential, to become the unique individual you were meant to be. The manipulator, often stuck in a state of arrested development, feels a deep, unconscious envy and terror in the face of your growth. Your light, your ambition, your expansion, is a blinding spotlight on their own stagnation. By subtly sabotaging your goals and redirecting your life force into their fantasy, they are attempting to halt your individuation. They need you to remain small, unrealized, and dependent, because your becoming is a threat to their static world. Here, the unyielding sentinel must complete her transformation. She must evolve from a guardian of the gates into the sovereign queen of the entire inner realm. She is no longer just defending, she is building her empire. Her strategy is one of radical honesty and decisive action. You must hold their words about the future up against the harsh light of their actions in the present. Are they taking any concrete steps to build this life they promise? Or are their words merely empty calories providing momentary comfort but no real sustenance? The Stoic mind distinguishes between talk and action. You must do the same. Then you must begin to act not in defiance but in devotion, devotion to your own potential. Secretly or openly, take one small step towards your own abandoned dream. Enroll in the course. Write the first page of the book. Open the separate savings account. Reroute your energy from their mirage to your own tangible reality. This is the ultimate reclamation. By choosing your own becoming, you are choosing your soul over their control. The pain of the experience, the confusion, the self-doubt, it all becomes the crucible in which your true power is forged. You learn to see these 5 shadow signs not as evidence of your failure, but as a curriculum for your empowerment. You learn to anchor your own reality. You learn to value your autonomy over gilded cages. You learn to protect your vital connections. You learn to choose inner peace over manufactured chaos. And finally, you learn to become the architect of your own future. You see with devastating clarity that the goal is not to fix them, or to change them, or even to hate them. It is to understand the dynamics so profoundly that you would never choose to participate in them again. You are now free to seek and create connections built on mutual respect, shared growth, and authentic love. A love that liberates, not entraps. Share the moment you finally said, "Enough," and reclaimed your power in the comments below. The woman who sees the truth chooses her peace.